Today I am kicking off my end of year content series with my most anticipated book releases for 2025. So there are quite a few books that I have on my list. All of these are written by authors who I've read from in the past and enjoyed. We have a few different genres and we're going to go in order of release date, starting with January. Also, if you see me looking over in this direction, it's because I have my laptop here and I'm having to refer to it for notes. Obviously, I'm not going to go super in depth on the plots for any of these books because I haven't read them and they're not out yet, so I am just going off vibes, you know? I'm just going off the Goodreads descriptions and what I know about these authors and the books that I've read from them in the past. So let's start with The Favourites by Lane Fargo, which comes out on January 14th. This is the same author who wrote They'll Never Learn, which is a thriller that I did enjoy a few years ago. That very much gave off female rage vibes, and the genre for this I'm not actually sure about. It sounds like it might be a romantic suspense. It says that it's an epic love story set in the world of elite figure skating about a woman who is determined to carve her own path on and off the ice. It also says that it's inspired by Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, which obviously conjures up a certain vibe, like a certain atmosphere, and I'm really hoping that this delivers on that. It sounds really interesting either way. In February we have Hope Street by Mike Gale, which is about a trainee journalist who is writing a story about a guy who is refusing to leave his home. So there's a new development that's planned to be built on this particular street, and he's the only resident who's still holding out. Mike Gale writes these very emotional and heartfelt contemporary stories, and I'm hoping this is going to be very uplifting. On March 6th we have A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana, which I am so excited about because I have been waiting years for this book. I loved The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and this new book was scheduled originally to be released this year in 2024. However, it's been pushed back a few times and it's now finally coming out on March 6th, and it sounds really cozy. It's about a witch who was exiled from her guild and she is now helping her aunt to run an inn. She then finds this old spell book which could hold the secret to restoring her power, and the love interest is a guy who is helping her unlock the book's mysteries. I love a cozy witchy read, and even though this is scheduled to come out in March, I am probably going to save it to read in October, which I think is going to be the perfect time. Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake comes out on the 1st of April, and this also sounds very intriguing. You're going to hear me say a lot throughout this video, all of these books sound intriguing, but this one in particular is about three siblings whose father passes away, and they are all in the running to inherit his empire. So it's about sibling rivalry, and I feel like this could have some interesting family dynamics and commentary on that. I really liked the Atlas trilogy by Olivia Blake, but I've been meaning to check out more of her work, and this sounds like it's going to be the sort of book that I would enjoy. There's also a new Vera Wong book coming out on the 1st of April. This is by Jessie Q. Satanto. I don't know whether I need a new Vera Wong book, because even though I loved the first book in the series and I loved Vera as a character, I thought that worked quite well as a standalone, but this is going to be probably a fun time anyway, so I will probably check it out. Vera Wong is this older woman, I think she's in her 60s, and you're following her as she is trying to be helpful and solve crimes. In the first book there was a body that was found in her tea shop, and then I believe in this one someone has gone missing and she's trying to help with that. Burn After Reading by Catherine Ryan Howard is the next book on my list. This comes out on the 10th of April, and the tagline for this says that it's an addictive and twisty new thriller about a man who may have committed murder and the ghostwriter who has been charged with helping him protest his innocence. How cool does that sound? I have enjoyed every single book that I've read from this author. Her books do tend to be slower and more suspenseful. They do tend to lean more crime than thriller, but that perfectly suits my taste. So Catherine Ryan Howard is an author by author for me. This next book I think is going to be on quite a few people's anticipated lists, and that is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, which comes out on April 22nd. This is about two writers who are competing to tell the story of this famous woman who is a tabloid princess and daughter of one of the most storied and scandalous families of the 20th century. It kind of gives me Evelyn Hugo vibes. I don't know what it is, but something about that plot reminds me of Evelyn Hugo. I don't think it is going to be like like that. I think this is very much going to be a contemporary romance, but I love books about books. I like books about authors, and Emily Henry does that very well. Beach Read is still one of my favourite books by her. We know that I'm going to read this no matter what because I do tend to like Emily Henry's books. Another romance coming out next year is Dream On, Ramona Riley by Ashley Herring Blake. This comes out on May 13th. This is a sapphic romance following Ramona, who used to dream of becoming a designer in Hollywood. However, she had to give it all up to take care of her sister, and it's now 12 years later and a big budget romantic comedy has come to her small town to film, and she thinks, okay, this could be my big chance. The only problem is that the star of this movie is her first kiss and Hollywood's favourite wild child, so I'm assuming we're going to have some sort of romance between the two. I love books about fame and famous people, so I hope that this works for me, and I hope I enjoy it as much as the Bright Falls series by Ashley Herring Blake. Cara Hunter also has a new book coming out next year. It's called Making a Killing, and it is book 7 in the D.I. Adam Fawley series. So this is one of my favourite crime thriller series of all time, and usually I would say that there's no issue with reading each book as a standalone. You're basically following a team of detectives in Oxfordshire as they're investigating different crimes. So in each book there's a different crime, and even though it's the same characters and there's continuations of their personal stories, you can read each book usually as a standalone. However, in this one, a dog walker discovers a woman's body in a shallow grave, and it seems like there could be links to the case of a missing girl several years previously, which is the same case that the team investigated in the first book. So when I saw the synopsis for this, I literally screamed. Cara Hunter is such a clever crime thriller writer, and yeah, this series is so good. I can't wait to read this. Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid comes out on June 3rd, which is very exciting because I feel like we haven't had a new Taylor Jenkins Reid book for quite a few years. This is set in the 1980s, and it follows a woman who is one of the first female scientists to join NASA's Space Shuttle program. I love the way that Taylor Jenkins Reid writes characters. Her characters always feel like real people to me, and I love how she has this ability to transport you to a particular time. Hopefully this is as incredible as her previous books. I don't know if this is going to be set in the same universe as her previous books. I actually saw her at an event in Cheltenham around the time that Carrie Soto came out, and she said that she was taking a break to work on something new, and I'm assuming that that's what this is. So yeah, not sure what to expect from it, because she said that she was going to try and go in a different direction, and I don't know whether that is going to actually be the case. Sweet Heat by Bolu Babalola is next on my list. This comes out in July. Oh my goodness, this sounds so intriguing because it follows the same characters from Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. It seems like it's a direct sequel, and it's a second chance romance, which usually isn't my favourite. It's not my favourite romance trope. However, usually the reason I don't like second chance romances is because I struggle to want characters to get back together when I haven't felt invested in them getting together in the first place. Usually I agree with the reasons why they broke up, but this is going to be different because I've already read the first book. I felt so invested in their romance when I read that book. I don't know whether this book needed a sequel, but I'm going to read it either way just to see if it does work for me and if this could be a second chance romance that I actually love. On August 28th we have Catabasis by R.F. Kuang, which is about two academic rivals from Cambridge who must travel to hell to rescue the soul of their advisor. It's dark academia, which is the element that most intrigues me. However, the way that this is being marketed as a romantasy makes me nervous because I don't think that romance is R.F. Kuang's strong point. To be fair, she hasn't really wrote strong romances in any of her previous books. Maybe that's why I'm a little bit hesitant, but we will see. All of the books that I've read from R.F. Kuang have been so different that I'm excited to see what this is like. Uncharmed by Lucy Jane Wood is scheduled to come out in September. We have almost no information about this other than the title. I think it's set in the same world as Rewitched, but with different characters. I'm expecting it to be a cozy witchy time, and I really enjoyed Rewitched by this author, so I am anticipating this one. The final book on my list comes out in October, and that is The Ballad of Falling Dragons by Sarah A. Parker. I believe the series name for this is the Moonfall series, but the first book is When the Moon Hatched, which I read earlier this year and really enjoyed. I can't believe we have to wait so long for the sequel, but to be fair, I would rather that than feel like an author is rushing out a sequel just to capitalise capitalize on the hype, so it's fine. I can reread the first book to go into the second book because I did really enjoy the first book. I liked how the writing was very lush and lyrical. I know that some people hate the writing. I thought it really suited the vibe that the author was going for, and I thought the world in this was super interesting. I wasn't that invested in the romance, however, I feel like the first book was very much a setup book, so I'm excited to see how the plot develops in book 2. That does bring me to the end of this video, so thank you for watching if you made it this far. Let me know in the comments, what is your most anticipated book release for 2025? Or let me know if you've got like a top 3. Obviously, I don't even know how many books I've talked about in this video. I had a cold last week, so this is the first day that I felt well enough to film ever since then, and I still feel like my voice is a little bit croaky, so apologies if you could hear that. But yeah, let me know any books that you're excited about next year, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me. But otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye.